Daily Words of God. If we want to understand more of what God has and is, we cannot stop at the Old Testament or at the age of law. We need to continue onward, following along with the steps God took in His work. So, as God ended the age of law and began the age of grace, let our own footsteps follow behind into the age of grace, an age full of grace and redemption. In this age, God again did something very important that had never before been done. The work in this new age for both God and mankind was a new starting point, a starting point that consisted of yet another new work done by God that had never been done before. This new work was unprecedented, something beyond the powers of imagination of humans and all creatures. It is something that is now well known to all people. For the first time, God became a human being, and for the first time, He began new work in the form of a man, with the identity of a man. This new work signified that God had completed His work in the age of law, and that He would no longer do or say anything under the law. Neither would He say or do anything in the form of the law, or according to the principles or rules of the law. That is, all His work based on the law was halted forever and would not be continued, because God wanted to begin new work and do new things. His plan once again had a new starting point, and so God had to lead mankind into the next age. Whether this was joyful or ominous news to humans depended on the essence of each individual person. It could be said that to some people this was not joyful news, but ominous, because when God began His new work, those people who just followed the laws and rules, who just followed the doctrines but did not fear God, tended to use God's old work to condemn His new work. For these people, this was ominous news. But for every person who was innocent and open, who was sincere to God and willing to receive His redemption, God's first incarnation was very joyful news. For ever since humans first were brought into existence, this was the first time God had appeared and lived among mankind in a form that was not the Spirit. This time, He was born of a human and lived among people as the Son of Man, and worked in their midst. This first broke down people's notions. It was beyond all imagination. Moreover, all of God's followers gained a tangible benefit. God not only ended the old age, but He also ended His old working methods and working style. He no longer asked His messengers to convey His will. He was no longer hidden in the clouds, and no longer appeared or spoke to humans commandingly through thunder. Unlike anything before, through a method unimaginable to humans that was difficult for them to understand or accept, becoming flesh, He became the Son of Man in order to begin the work of that age. This act of God caught mankind totally unprepared. It made them embarrassed, because God had once again started new work that He had never done before.